Hey everyone, and welcome back to Citywide Bites. I hope you're all having a great time. And for this episode, our next guest is the author of now 5 books. Her most recent book is called "The Talking Stick," and it is a really amazing journey. Joining me is author Donna Levin. Donna, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Now, could we begin by just taking us on a quick walk through what the Talking Stick is all about?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm going to shameless self-promotion.
Of course, you got to do that. Amazing cover
Cover.
too.
Yes. Um, and it is a story of 4 women who come into possession of a talking stick. Actually, it's a Native American talking stick, but it's described with great respect for its heritage. And this talking stick may or may not have some special powers so that the holder of the stick retrieves memories, not that she's repressed, but that she's revised. So she recalls things from her past that she remembered differently. So that, for example, one woman who's a single mom who has been struggling with her teenage daughter realizes that she never told the bio dad that she was pregnant, that he didn't break up with her because she was pregnant. He never knew. And this leads to her getting back in touch with him, et cetera. So, but each of the 4 women has her own, shall we say, journey where she reclaims some part of her past and moves forward in a more authentic way.
Okay. I want to ask about the concept of the talking stick because I do remember that from my days when I was a Boy Scout. Actually, like we would have those conversations with like the talking stick.
Huh?
How did you come about it? Like, how did you come to like know of it, and why did you think, yeah, this needs to be in the book?
Well, I won't. I won't try to, make it any fancier than this. I whew, Actually, it was some years ago. I was having coffee with a writer, a novelist friend, and who writes detective fiction. And we both agreed that we would like to write a novel in which some magical object plays a role. His idea was that a man finds a device in his garage. If you turn the dial, the person he's with, let's say woman, just for laughs, falls in love with him. And my idea was that a woman, yeah, my idea was that a woman finds something, gets in hold of something that enables her to read minds. But I don't want anybody to read my mind, so that didn't last long. Anyway, we were really talking about our then novels in progress, and we went back. That's what we went back to. And then it was a few years later that I joined this really amazing writing group that's all women. And not only are they good critics, but they're friends in a way that I had not experienced women being friends before. I was kind of raised to believe, God bless my mom, but she kind of raised, and she was surrounded by women like this to believe that women are always going to be competing against each other. And, because for the attention of men, for better jobs, for, nicer clothes, whatever it is. But these women don't do that. This was really a new experience for me. They were just incredibly supportive and incredibly not competitive. And I would talk about them, gossip is a strong word, but I would talk about them to my oldest daughter. And she said a couple of times, you should write a book about a group of women like that. About a group of women. They are not based on real life women. They're really products of my invention. But the talking stick, if you saw early episodes of Breaking Bad, which I'm not ashamed to admit that I watched devotedly, there's a scene where the family uses a talking pillow. And the only person who can talk is the person who has the pillow in their lab. So people have used the idea of a talking stick for probably hundreds of years. It doesn't have to be an authentic talking stick. I actually have one here that I bought in Etsy. It doesn't have magical powers, unfortunately, but I got it for inspiration.
Okay,
And,
okay,
you
but
know,
like no magic, huh? All right. Well,
yeah,
as long
not
as they don't
yet.
advertise it as being like magical power, otherwise you gotta return that stuff. Um, but I want to ask about the notion of like cherished memories being kind of romanticized versions of the truth, because I read this in the plot synopsis and I love the concept because I feel like everyone has that. We all have that
Right.
thing that we swear to God happened, but if we actually look back in time, not the case. Why is this so important to the book?
Well, I guess you could say it's important to me. I, s- I think on one level, this is the story is kind of a parable or a metaphor for the process of good psychotherapy when it works. That you go in and you complain about mommy and daddy and your past, and if the therapist is good and you're willing to confront these things, you start to see more nuances. You start to see your own role in creating not just your past but your present. Um, for the main character, Hunter, has at the beginning of the book has her husband has left her for another woman, and of course she's abandoned, she's betrayed, she's angry, she feels a victim, but she begins to realize how she contributed to this situation, um, how she didn't always treat him all that well. Um, so that's I guess, I didn't want to write. I actually wrote a long time ago. I did write a book about a psychoanalyst. I didn't want to do that again. And, you know, this was kind of my attempt to do it in a different way, and without money changing hands among the characters.
I get you. I get you. All right, let's talk about your protagonist Hunter, because boy, she's in a rough spot when we meet her. Her husband has a letter for Angelica, whom I automatically hate. Honestly, like read the book,
Yeah.
you'll kind of learn why. Former best friend who's now put out a new hit memoir, which has all kinds of lies about Hunter. She is unemployed, zero prospect, which is where she winds up encountering the talking stick, and this kind of leads us to forward in the rest of the story. But what went into creating Hunter as a character?
Wow. Well, she ends up being me, as do most of the, as do really all the characters in the book. And I think it's been said, and I generally agree, that most of the characters in a novel are really parts of the author, his or her or themselves. Um, Hunter, though, my idea was that she started at least to try for her to not be me. She's tall and blonde. She's very athletic. Me, not so athletic. She's a compulsive runner. She she's a clean freak. When she wants to calm down, she will get out the Lysol or Pledge or whatever it is, and see, I don't even know what they're, uh, and just dust everything and polish everything. No one would accuse me of being a clean freak, but that just seemed like, you know, and I think if anything, I was just looking at something that the anti-Donna there, something that was very much not me, and then running with it. So even though I just said the characters are parts of me, I like to think I have some imagination. And then become, once I get an idea of who they are, I can go from there. Now I have to take issue. I've seen, I've interviewed with other writers and heard them say, well, the characters just tell me what they want to do. And I wanted Debbie to marry Myron, but she just wouldn't do it. And I have a little problem with that, because I always want to say, you do realize that Debbie is fictional, right? Debbie isn't actually talking to you, right? So, I think it would be great if the characters would just tell me what they want to do. That doesn't usually happen. It's very much for me a question of trial and error. Now, I'd like to think I was on this book, I wrote the book, spent a long time in this book. So I'd like to think that at the end, Yes, it's seamless. Yes, it seems like it just, emerged like Athena from Zeus's thigh or something. But in fact, it was a lot of let's try that. Let's see what the writing group says. Let's throw all this out. Let's start again. So yeah, you know, I don't know why anybody does this, but that is what I do.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
long would you say you spent on this book from like start to finish?
From set to start to finish, it was 5 years.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
long
I
time.
know that I know. And none, and I know writers who can turn out a book a year. I'm not one. If you saw the movie American Fiction by some chance early on, uh, the and I remember his pseudonym. He becomes Stagger Lee. I can't remember what his the real character's real name is, but in the early episode, I love this. I've played it for myself 5 times just to reassure myself. Where the faculty meeting, they call him in, and one professor says, "I've written 4 books in the since you published your last one," and he says, "Just goes to show that good things take time."
Ooh, nice line. I
Remember
like
that?
that.
Yeah. So, and my book was at the airport. And all right, well, my book's at the library. So there you have it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes as long as it takes, I mean,
Yeah.
if you rush it, it's not going to be your book anymore. It's going to be something else.
Well,
Um,
one hopes that this is going to be around for a while, and 2 months may be a while, but what's the point of doing 5 mediocre book, or 5 schlocky books, when you can do one good one? I don't want to be pretentious about this one, but I sure made it the best I could.
no, I totally agree. I totally agree, especially given the amount of work that goes into writing a book. You want it to be like the best possible version that you can
Yeah.
make it to be. So certainly take your time. I mean, if you don't have a deadline, take your time and do it right. I say. But moving on to the next question, looking back at your past books, it seems like the majority of them have like a strong female lead. Um, I'm just kind of curious how that came to be.
Well, as a matter of fact, my second novel, California Street, there's a male protagonist.
That's right. Yep.
And that was a long time ago. I was kind of was interested in seeing if I could portray how a male mind works. Not to say that they're all alike by any means, obviously, any more than female minds. Otherwise, it's just more natural. I guess in retrospect, of course, a lot more women buy and read books than men. Uh, that's just the statistic.
Mhm.
However, I don't didn't say, like, I've read that Robin Cook, who's, I think he's still writing these medical thrillers. The early ones were good, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the last couple. I read a recent one that was not great, but his first one, Coma, whoa, that was a powerful one, and it traded on the early days of organ transplants and how that could be abused, etc. Anyway, he wrote later that he just researched the genre and decided that a strong woman character, and God help me, this is the late 70s, would be a more commercial. Actually, I just thought of something, would be more commercially successful than another male doctor. However, I also observed in Coma that I can't believe I remember her name. Susan Wheeler is the character, and she's also blonde, she's green-eyed, she's well endowed, and I thought, okay, this is what feminism has done for us so far, folks. She's first in her medical school class, but she's also drop dead gorgeous. So, you know, um, but it was over, other than those little political quibbles, it was a good book, So,
Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to ask about Angelica because man,
ooh,
she is just not gonna say the word, but I'm thinking it.
yes,
Man, she is definitely not a good person. Um, She steals Hunter's husband, lies about her in her memoir, and then when Hunter forms her support group, Angelica does the exact same thing. What would you say motivates Angelica to be the person that she is?
With Angelica, actually, I was kind of separate from everything else I've described about the book. I was looking to, um, I hesitate to word satirize because that calls up images of Saturday Night Live sketches and everything, which I love Saturday Night Live, but that wasn't what I was going for. With Angelica, I was looking to satirize, you know, some of these. We've reached a point in society where we're, for the most part, so affluent that we can afford to be self-obsessed. And this is about people who just, like, if you scroll through Instagram, which I never do, but I have done in the past, and there's all these little, boxes about how you can be your best self, setting boundaries and reaching out to other people. But, it's this very, very pseudo Eastern philosophy. I love Eastern philosophy, but it's been appropriated and watered down in my milieu, in Northern California, in a way that I find almost amusing, and Angelica kind of becomes a cult leader a little bit. And there are people just eating that up and they want to be told what to do. I mean, that's a human phenomenon. That's not and endemic to Northern California, but it has its own particular flavor here in Northern California, where it's like, oh, I found the answer now. It's in this book, and I'm working the steps, and I'm just. I just looked at a book where, believe it or not, I found a book where you can doodle your way to creativity or to a better life, and all these. You can get calm, and you can get happy, and you can. Oh, and I'm afraid who might see this because I know people who do this. The vision board,
Oh my God.
the manifestation board. If they work, Mazel Tov. But it's I get a little like,
Yeah.
if only life were that simple. And why don't you go feed a homeless person and something
Yeah,
concrete? I'm sorry.
seriously, if you want to
Yeah.
like make a difference in much simpler ways. Yeah, it's kind of like all those like fad diets or exercise programs that promise, you'll lose like 100 pounds in a month. I'm thinking that's not healthy at all. That's gonna kill you.
Not only that, but you're lucky to be in a world where there's enough food. Um,
Sure.
so now we have to say, okay, well, I'm going to cut out carbs. I'm going to
Yes.
do intermittent fasting. There are too many people in the world who are not fasting by choice.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
It is weird. All right. Well, we are coming down to the end of this conversation. But Donna, I want to ask about the cover for the Talking Sticks. I really
Ooh, oh,
loved that cover. Please hold it up. Let everyone see it. There we
thank
go.
you.
I love it. What inspired this particular choice for the cover of the book?
The this cover isn't an exact duplicate of the road to Mount Tamalpais in Marin. One thing I do love about Marin is, I live very close to the Golden Gate Bridge. In 15 minutes, I can be on the other side of it, and you are in a different world. It's urban, but it's also very, I don't know, bucolic. Um, and the first scene of the novel takes place at the top of Mount Tamalpais, which is a popular hiking destination. And of course, I've been there a few times. And there are other scenes that take place in Muir Woods and other locales. I got to say, I love Marin. I mean, it's really the best of urban and woodsy. I don't know. I'm a city girl, so I don't know a better word than woodsy.
I like that. I like that. All right. Okay, Donna. So the big question before we bring this thing to a close is what is next for you?
Oh, okay. I started another novel. I
Now,
don't have a good
nice.
working title, but the novel is about the phenomenon of dissociative identity disorder, or
Ooh,
DID. Used to be called multiple personality disorder, but as of 1994 in the DSM-5, it's been renamed and more correctly. And it is just a fascinating phenomenon. And I would like I have started to portray a sympathetic view of, what these people go through. If you're familiar with
Mm.
the M. Night Shyamalan movie Split, that is anathema in the DID community.
I was just thinking about that too. I was just thinking, like, Split would be a great title, but it's taken.
Well, it's no, it's you see the thing is it perpetuates the myth that he have serial killer alter personalities.
Sure.
And a person with DID is much more likely to be a danger to themselves than to anybody else. So
Oh,
I would like to debunk that myth.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. All right. Well, Donna Levin, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And for the folks at home, you can get your copy of The Talking Stick and all of her books, which you should definitely get, by going to donnalevin.com. Donna, as you spell it, Levin.com. It's all there. And certainly looking forward to the next conversation.
Thank you so much, Max. I really loved it.
All right. And for the folks at home, thank you all for tuning in, checking out this show. I'll certainly follow the socials, and we will see you all next time.